Everyone, it's Taxi from A2K, and thanks for joining us. Today's webinar, watching Infraworks 2021.1. So, technical consultant Dean will be presenting for us. First, we just go through about A2K, all about fostering innovation through consulting and training. A2K Technologies plays a vital role in helping infrastructure, building, mining, construction, architecture, and manufacturing industries reach their full potential by delivering complete technology solutions and support services such as education, consulting, and IT managed services. Working with visionaries to shape the future of design and in turn enable them through innovation to minimize risks, improve productivities, and achieve excellence. A2K Technologies is considered the business partner of choice and trusted advisor by our vendors and clients. We partner with major software and hardware vendors to meet our clients' technology needs. We strive to exceed client expectations by understanding their challenges and delivering solutions through experience and innovation. We work with clients and companies of any size nationally and abroad. Over to you, Dean.
Thanks, Dexter. So this webinar, we're going to go and have a look at the additions or the new pieces that they've added in to Infraworks. Sort of a few, well, probably about 3 weeks ago at least, I think it was. The Infraworks is continuously evolving. It's they're bringing out new, well, they're actually doing an update every or 2 or 3 updates a year, so it's about 4 or 5 months, I guess. They're bringing out, just adding in the new things they've been working on and constantly evolving. For anybody that's interested in being part of that process, there is a, if you go to the Autodesk websites, there is a beta testing program, the sandbox that you can sign up to actually try out those new versions and get input into them before they get released. So what we're planning to look at today is, first of all, there's a few changes to the home page and a few, not just the interface changes, but capability that has been exposed there. Then there's a little bit of road marking changes that they've made, which is actually quite nice. Some things that people have been asking for a long time. The Civil 3D corridor import process has been changed a little bit, make it a little bit better. So we'll go ahead and have a recap of that. And for those who may not have tried it yet in 2021. And then there is there's continuously, they've been involving the bridge design workflows between Civil 3D, Infraworks, and Revit. There's a few additions to that, which we'll look at towards the end. And then there are additions to the actual bridge model within Infraworks itself, and we'll have a look at that too. Now, this may not take the whole hour, but we'll just see how we're going in terms of time. It is being recorded, so this webcast will be up on YouTube and on the A2K website later on. And for anybody that wasn't able to attend, that's where you go and find them. I'm broadcasting as usual from Nelson, top of the South Island in New Zealand. The grass pollen season has just started, so I apologise in advance if I have to briefly stop talking and stop and mute myself while I clear my throat. But we'll see if we can avoid that if at all possible. This will be a live demo. I'm not intending to do it by PowerPoint. So without further ado, let's do our little demo. So first of all, I'm going to go into Infraworks. And on this home page here, they've changed the layout a little bit, so that for those people who have access to BIM 360, you can actually go and click on the BIM 360 tab, and it will load up any models you actually got stored up there. I'm not sure how many I've got still up there anymore. But this is, this is just my general project files. In fact, it's gone through to. So you can go and navigate through your project files up on BIM 360 and navigate to wherever, if you do have some stored. Yeah, that one doesn't have any in there. Oh, that's the incoming one. There we go. There's all your my information that's been stored up on BIM 360. For those who are not using those, we have the normal page of recent projects you've had open. But in terms of new uncovered functionality now, if we go and create, well, I won't create one, but if we were to start the process of creating a new project, you actually get the coordinate system here, and it does actually need to be filled in. Now, it used to default to be the lat long 84 coordinate system, which is can build a model anywhere on the planet. However, you did lose some accuracy with that. So now you can go and navigate to your local, go for Australia here, it's going to sit at the top of the list, your local coordinate system you want to work in. This will give you better accuracy when transferring between Infraworks and Civil 3D, which will be in a coordinate system. And if you've got a reference coordinate system set up in Revit as well, that will give you down to survey accuracy, which is something we didn't have in previous years. So that's specifically not so much for the model itself in Infraworks, but for coordinating between the different products. It does mean, though, that you are constrained to models only within that coordinate system that you can create. It will complain if you try and make or bring in data that's outside of that coordinate system. All right, and you get the same thing when you go into the model builder. Just let that come up. And here you need to select a coordinate system, but it reminds you there, if you're unsure, select lat long 84, but you won't get the same accuracy down to millimeters. All right, so having discussed those, let's go and I think that's all I need to look at. Yes, go and have a look at the road marking side of things was next on the list, wasn't it? So I'm going to go into here and I'll go to the proposal called is the start of my webcast. All right, and so this is just to the south of Christchurch in the South Island. And I've just got a little example here, putting some trees and things to make it look pretty, of a little intersection. Now, before we go and play with that, because that's what I'm going to use for my example with Civil 3D, let's go and have a look at this road marking stuff. So the road marking stuff applies to the component roads. So if we're going to have a look at this one here, that's not a component road yet, so I'm going to convert it. Yeah, this is new actually. This is telling you if you convert this to a component road, it came in from the model builder, it will no longer refresh with the model builder. So that's fine, that's what we want. Okay, and I will sketch in a little piece of road to go with this. So let's do an intersection, I suppose. An X intersection, I guess, would be okay. So create a new component road. What type do I want? Let's see from assembly here. 4-lane, no, that's a bridge. 4-lane divided. I suppose that would be all right. Let's try that one. And I'm going to start over here. I'm going to cross across at an angle, I guess. Down through here. There's my, oops. Curve didn't go in there, but let's just try it anyway. And then draw. Okay, so road marking. Well, if we're going to want to see road marking, we're going to have to probably remove Oh, we'll do it on the other road, actually. We'll keep that median in just to be a little bit different. On this other road, we can pick the road itself to get the center line. And if we right click on there, there is the pavement markings, which is the new one, and go modify lane markings. So if we just back off there, so you can see it's just a dashed line down the middle of the road, which is probably unlikely on a highway like this. Selecting it, right click and go to pavement markings, modify lane markings. We now get some options here. So we've got the lane marking on one side, the second side, which is those two, and you've got the center one, which is the median. We can change the style here to say a dashed or no overtaking line. Sorry, not dashed, a non-dashed, no overtaking line. And we can change the color to be our yellow road stripe. And if we wanted to adjust for the heck of it, and we could put, make one of these lanes very narrow and make it for a bike lane or something like that. Perhaps if we wanted a green line, for instance, there we can go more styles and make it. I'm just playing. I don't have it off green, which you might have. So this is going to be a very bright green, but I could go make one, of course. And there we get the ability to go and change those. The other thing that a lot of people didn't like, and myself included, was that all of these lane markings had a shadow underneath them previously. Now they've actually removed the shadow, which is something that was asked for a long time as well. But the lane marking itself is still, if we go and have a look at this thing, it still appears to be slightly above, escape there, above the ground, the surface, which is why we had the shadow underneath previously, but they just turned the shadows off, which makes it look a lot better. Now, before you ask, I have been trying to find a way to split the center line or the lane marking such that you can have double yellow line here, dashed on one side, yellow on the other side, as was in the little options we had there for pavement markings. But it looks like it applies it to the whole length of the alignment of that road. Is what it's actually running on at the moment. I've tried splitting it to put a new assembly in that area, but while you can change the assembly, the shape, the cross-sectional shape of the road, it doesn't let you put in a distinct or separate line in the middle. So I guess that will be coming, but for the moment, it does the whole road. But at least it gives us the options we didn't have before. Now, looking at the intersections, this is quite interesting. Well, it's actually one of the things I've been asking for a while. If I go and put my intersection here and choose those lanes on one of the approach roads, you've got that yield line again that you can change the position where the lane actually comes into the intersection. We had that before, but here's the new thing. When I select that, up in the stack on the side, here is the ability to change the lane marking, which we had before. So if I make that just a left turn, should do it. There, it's done it. But the thing I really wanted was these ones. On the main road, it's unlikely that you're going to be putting them in these markings. So I want to turn those off. And you turn them off, instead of using the drop down, you just click on the arrow and click on the arrow, and that will turn those off. And you can do the same on the other side. So that's something I personally have been asking for several years now. And that's nice to have. Now, I don't think you can extend these yield lines all the way in, or can you? Yeah, you can, but it doesn't do the other approach. So I did see on the web somebody talking about that and saying that it's coming. The ability to run those lines all the way through an intersection is coming. Something that's being worked on. So that will be nice. Now you can turn off that yield line, but I think, let's have a go. It eliminates the other things as well. Yeah, I think it turns off, it's for the intersection itself. The yield line, if you turn those off, I think it removes all of the marking. Yeah, it removes the arrows as well. So still a few things around there, but they're working on it. There's also one more thing with these. If you do something that doesn't really make any sense, such as, I guess it might do it there. Let's try, whoops, don't turn it off. Do it that way. There we go. If you get a conflict, so obviously straight through traffic, you don't want these ones turning into them, it'll highlight in orange and say there's a conflict on this approach. So that's a nice little warning as well, if you haven't seen those. All right, so that is the lane marking. Anything I need to talk about on that additionally? No, we're good. Now, as we go, if you've got questions and things, you can put them into the chat up in the toolbar that you've got for the Zoom meeting, and I'll see if we get time at the end, which we may well have. See if we can answer some of those at the end. Okay, and there's a couple of other people on the call who may be able to answer those for you in the meantime. So moving on then, we want to look at the import of Civil 3D models into here. Now, if you haven't seen this for a few years, it did change. I think it was the end of 2020, but certainly beginning of 2021 it changed. So if I go back to my Civil 3D here, I have a design I've already been playing around with to modify that intersection down where the factory is. It's in one of my drawings here. Let's go and find it. The Infraworks start, I believe. Hope so. Just make sure I'm in the right place. I'll turn on the map data. Okay, hopefully we should find the same imagery that we saw. Yep, we're still in the right place. So there's that big forest or pine plantation. There's my buildings, and we're on the same intersection. So what I've actually done, oops, is construct a new Civil 3D corridor to rebuild that intersection and do some interesting things with the an on-ramp and an off-ramp. So I wanted to test something a little bit more complicated, in terms of having different regions and things that you can want to pull into Infraworks. And that was the idea behind the changes they made to being able to import these things. So I've got an intersection there, and I've got my own regions for the two turning ramps. So difficult to make that in Infraworks itself, but you are much more capable in Civil 3D of making those, but then we want to take them back to Infraworks to see those. So I'll just check that everything has been rebuilt. Intersections rebuild. That should be mine all rebuilt there. I'll do a save. And I think we are able to open this without closing it in Civil 3D, so we'll give it a try. It may complain, but we'll see how we go. Be a good test. So back in here, there's my plant, the pine plantation there. I'm going to pick the existing road that came from the model builder, drag it back to make myself some space. We'll play around with that later on to connect it back up. So this is the area where my civil model is. Now what we want to do is, well, actually we'll make a new proposal here. I'll call it demo. Demo, yep, why not? Demo. and we'll bring in our Civil 3D drawing. Now, to get this to work, the transfer that we're about to see, to bring in a more, a better or easier to use Civil 3D model, you do need to be using the same year version of Civil 3D and Infraworks. So if you're using, as I am here, Infoworks 2021.1, you do need to be using Civil 3D 2021 as well, because it is a two-way process. So in here, if I go to the data sources, and I'm going to read in my Civil 3D DWG. It was on there. Infraworks start is the one I just did. And it does the connection. Now it'll scan that whole drawing and find all the things that can be brought in. We only want the corridor. So that's all I'm going to bring in. So we don't need all these ground surfaces and other surfaces. Those are top surfaces of the corridor. No, so it's just the one that says roads up the top here. Those are the alignments and corridors. Going to go OK. Go and configure it. So it appears over here in the data sources. And go to Civil 3D drawing. Now here's all the alignments, everything that was in the drawing. It still has one that thinks it's still out of date there. So it's got a little warning there that says if you haven't rebuilt the corridor, for some reason that curb alignment on the intersection thinks it's out of date, but the rest looks all right. So I think that's probably just a little error, maybe because I've got it open at the same time. Could be. So I'm going to pick that line, hold down shift, pick the top line, and first of all, turn them all off. I don't want them all coming in. I just want my corridor I've designed. So that was, let me see, the driveway. Now, each of these is a region of my corridor. So, or, yes, a region. Yeah, there will be regions. So the driveway was one piece. The Waterholes Road was the other road. So that's the two branches, the driveway and the Waterholes Road. Then we've got, I want the alignments of my intersection, those regions coming in. And also my two on-ramp and off-ramps, which were called, where are we? Off-lane and on-lane, there we go. That should be all I need. Now, I can just go OK, and that's what I'm going to do. Oh, sorry, close and refresh, and it will bring it in all with a whole bunch of defaults already preset, already does it automatically, which is fine. But if you don't like it, you've got this component mapping here. Now, this was here before in 2021. But you can change the material that gets applied to all the different components of the corridor that's coming in. So there's your footpaths, curbs, shoulders, etc. Change the materials that are applied to each just simply by clicking on there. Sorry, on the ellipsis button. Oh, no. Oh, that's interesting. That's the priorities of which draws over the top of which. So where are we? Oh, it's double click on it, and it opens that up, and you can apply different material to each component. However, I'm just going to go with the defaults because they're actually pretty good. So I'm going to cancel out of there. But before you do that, you do get an option here down the bottom here to talk about the grading or decide what you want to do with the grading. Either put no grading on the side of the road, use Infraworks grading, or we can use the grading that Civil 3D worked out. So it's the actual batter slopes from Civil 3D. I'm going to use the batter slopes from Civil 3D because they're more complex, if you like, than the standard slopes on Infraworks, and we should see that happen when it comes in. Everything else should be fine. It's got the coordinate system, so the accuracy is high if we've got the coordinate system set for both. And everything else, we're not draping it. Yep, that's all good. We'll go close and refresh. I'll just take a moment to read that in as a model. Sorry, I just needed to clear my throat there. All right, so here is the Civil 3D model that it has brought in. And it's done a fairly good job of that, actually. Or actually, I'd say a pretty good job. When I first did this, I did notice, and there we go, that I had actually made a mistake in Civil 3D. I didn't actually notice it in Civil 3D until I first brought it in here, so that's why I left it in. My road is changing width, and it's blatantly obvious when you got a nice pictorial view like this that I've got something wrong. So we can go back and modify that in a minute. Now, as I say, we did have this in 2021.0, though they have made the process a little bit more reliable, and they've got the ability to bring in those use the coordinate systems to bring them in. You can see it's doing a nice match up with the edge of my road with my little turn lanes here that I've sketched in very quickly. I haven't spent much time on this, so it's a bit rough, but you should see what's going on. And as you can see, we've got the batter slopes from Civil 3D, so when it's changing from cut into fill, it's putting in those table drains as the sort of Civil 3D defaults. So we can take our, or connect our roads back up. See if we can do that. Onto there somewhere. Overlap it just a bit. Oops, the elevation isn't good, is it? It's about there somewhere. Now they won't snap. Now it's actually brought the civil road through as a component road, but it's a non-editable, it's pretty close, non-editable component road. So while I can select that, and you will see there is, there should be a profile in the middle of that. Oh, you can see it right over there. And there's the grip for the vertical elevation change. We should get one here, there we go. But the grips are non-editable, as you can see. So it builds a component road out of it, but you won't be able to change the components. You can probably change the material on them individually if you really want it for some reason, but you need to change it back in Civil 3D. So let's show you how you do that. So we need to fix up this piece of road. Sometimes you might find one of these corners on the curb return has a little piece missing. We'll see, it hasn't come up yet, but there's an easy solution to that if you do. So let's go and back into Civil 3D. We'll go and fix up our problem, which is this. My two offset alignments here didn't run all the way to the end of the road, so I'm just going to drag those down, rebuild my corridor. There we go, let's fix those up, do a save. And back to Infraworks. And so changes we've made in Civil 3D will update by coming into the roads here. You can right click on there. And you actually don't want to refresh, that just refreshes Infraworks. What you want is re-import. We'll go and find where that drawing was saved when we imported it. And it will just reread it, bring it back in with all the settings that we've applied to it already. Okay, and we fix that one up. No, I'm not seeing that thing in the corner. Sometimes you might find that the last little few triangles in the curb return, I did see this a couple of times, or in the batter slope, I should say, disappear on the edge of one of these curb returns. The simple solution to that is just put a frequency line just a millimeter away from the edge of that region in Civil 3D, and then just re-import it, and it will give you triangulation right up to that line. There are still a couple of little things like here that don't quite match up properly. I guess they're still working on those a little bit, but most of it's good. These shadows are interesting though. They weren't there in 2021.0, but they've come in. I haven't yet found a way to turn those off. So I presume that's something that's, with the little changes that they made, has been introduced. And I guess that will be taken out in time as well. However, these are now component roads, as I said, though non-editable ones. But one thing you can edit is the pavement markings like we did before. So if we wanted to have, instead of that, as our dashed line, and we'll make it yellow as well. There you go. You can do those now. Because we don't have pavement marking in Civil 3D anyway, we can change it once we get it in here. Again, it's for the entire length of that, or that region, that alignment region. And then, of course, you can duplicate those, Control D, paste it there. As per usual, dress up your scene, make it look nice, and perhaps change to a different vehicle. What do we want? One of those. And like, there is a Australian New Zealand country kit for Infraworks, if you're interested. And that will do things like, let's just duplicate that. I think we've got one in here, this one. Put these in. So lots of furniture for the Australian New Zealand region. There you go. And there's lots of traffic lights and those sorts of things for this area, for this part of the world. And that make things look a lot nicer for what we typically want to see in our models, rather than the American styles. So that's a little ANZ country kit for Infraworks, made by the guys in Autodesk Australia. If you're needing that or want it, it is a manual process to install it, but drop us a line and I'll give you a link to download it. All right, so let's go and continue on, I think. So the next thing to look at was the changes they've made to the bridges workflow. Now I'm going to just pull up some of you might have seen this already, the Autodesk little video that they put up on YouTube. So that doesn't actually go to here, actually. Oops. Wrong one. I can just link through here. That'll take me straight in. Okay. And so rather than listen to them, I'll just talk you through it. So the idea is that they have changed created a workflow between Civil 3D, Infraworks, and Revit to allow bridge designers in particular to work or coordinate between them much more efficiently. So playing through here, they're starting off in Civil 3D, doing the alignments. So we'll jump back there. Doing your alignment and your corridor, your profile, getting all those worked out, and then exporting that through to Infraworks. And in Infraworks, that model is read in, and it will start off just looking like that. Okay, which is not ideal because it's supposed to be a bridge across that gully. It'll bring through the, like I just did, import that Civil 3D drawing. See if we can get a better resolution on that. Now that is 720. Okay. From there on, you can, in Infraworks, then go and put a bridge in. So just as you normally would, choose a span that you want the bridge to run, go and modify all the bridge piers and all that sort of stuff that Infraworks does very well, all your girders and those sorts of things. Now there is this new thing here, which is, if I just jump back a bit, Send to spreadsheet. So rather than having to change each pair individually or change a pair and muck around with all the settings in Infraworks, which can take a while, especially when you're working on these, not just the piers, but the actual girders in the bridge. It can be a bit finicky. Now you can actually send it to spreadsheet, and it will take all the these parameters of each component of the bridge, spit it out to Excel. You can modify in Excel and then update existing to bring it back. So this will show you that little process. Here is an Excel. It's changing all the parameters that they want to in there. These obviously including formulas in there, and bringing it all back. And the same with these. So that's a nice way to work, and I'll have a quick look at that in a moment. I'll just make a note of that. Excel. Also, they've improved, for those who do bridge work, the line girder analysis, which is a first order analysis on the girders of the bridge, the strength, and it produces the report. Now this was there before, but they've just made it a bit better. But beyond that, they've also, well, before we get to beyond that, they've added in other components you can add to your bridge, like these webs and stiffness and things like that. So we'll have a look at that too. But this is the further analysis you can do. You can export it out to Autodesk Structural Bridge Design if you're using that analysis package, and you can do the finite element model creation. We used to always call it finite elephant. It's just a bit funny. Anyway, that exports out directly to there now from Infraworks, where you can do a much more detailed and advanced analysis. So that's nice for those who are doing that sort of thing with bridges. However, the idea is that you can export this any changes that you make in Civil 3D to the alignment, for instance. You just update the Civil 3D drawing like we did before, and all the bridge and everything else will move with it. So there's you don't have to remake everything that you've done. It will just change the alignment geometry in Infraworks to reflect the changes that have been made in Civil. Then taking it out to Revit. They've changed the families a little bit in Revit so that we get a little bit closer to what Revit people actually want. But again, I think it's probably 50% design tool at the moment, and then you'd have to do it fully in Revit with the right families later on. But the idea is that we can then update and change this, have this in Revit, and then update things like those stiffness, and that will update automatically and change the Revit model because you've changed it in Infraworks. And again, in Revit, you can start putting in all your reinforcing and things like that. Just pause it there again. This is another update. They've actually taken the alignment string and alignment and profile. In fact, string for the center line of the structure is exporting as an alignment into, or certainly as a string anyway, that can be used into Revit itself, which is good. Start that playing. Yep, so you're getting all your stationing labels and things like that all coming through. That being said, the bridge can also go back to Civil 3D, Final Plan Production Civil 3D. So in Civil 3D, we can take, that is Civil 3D, we can read the bridge back in, and it all comes out all in separate layers, not just a big block. So you can start controlling that and looking at it in the profile views by layer. So let's go and have a look at that. I think, well, this is just a little panoramic fly through once you've done all that. But it's giving you a lot more direct link between all those different packages. So you don't have to import and export multiple times, just modify it in one of the packages and then get it to update the other package. So back into, if we can, Infraworks. Actually, let's go and have a look at Civil 3D first, I think. Let's go and have a look. Back in Civil 3D, there's a little bridge I've exported, and I'll just turn off my imagery here just to make it a bit easier to see what's going on. There we go. That's a bridge exported from Civil 3D. Sorry, begging your pardon. It's exported into Civil 3D. And all the different components, we're going to have a look at the layer of that one. That's the deck. And it's on, oh no, it's actually on layer 0. This one. No, those are on layer 0. What about these ones? It gives you the ability, it's basically split them into separate components. Maybe that's not on layer 0. No. Oh, it'll be in the, it'll be in the projected objects. So if we go into the profile view properties, that's come through as a projected object. So, but the, here we go, here's your piers and your girders and things like that. So you can change the styles that they're all using to get those to come out and change colors and all those sorts of things. But basically it's splitting the bridge up into all the components that you can label up differently, as you can see in this particular drawing, or both label and color. I've got the different colors split out, so not different components split out into different colors, so they're easier to see, and all our little bearing heights and things changing as they normally would. So it's a full 3D block of the actual bridge itself. It comes into Civil 3D, so you can embellish your Civil 3D drawings with what's actually been done in Infraworks. To take it a step further, or let's go into Infraworks itself again. Let's go and have, I've got a little bridge down here. Here it is, next to the BMX or motorbike track. It's probably a motorbike track. Let's them get underneath the road now. If we're going to have a look at this particular bridge, here are the stiffness types that you can put in. Now, if I select those, I should be able to delete them out. But before I delete them out, there are a couple of different types. We've got the steel diaphragm, which is this one here. They have lots and lots of parametric dimensions that you can change the texture that's on them and so on and so forth. But there is masses, and as you can see, masses of things you can change the dimensioning of those. All the web stiffness and all that sort of stuff can all be changed. Skew angles and so on. So that's a steel diaphragm. Then we've got the inverted V, which is the V going upwards, or we've got the standard cross frame, which would be the V going downwards. I'll do it. Still thinking about it. There we go. V going downwards. To apply these or to put them in, you go and pick a beam girder, right click on it and go add component, and now you've got the cross frame. That's the new one. We want to put it across all of those ones, so rather than just between an individual two. So I'll go enter to confirm. Oops. Don't know whether that went into work there, I don't think. Doesn't look like it did. We'll just try it. Sometimes I have found this being new. If you go and pick something else and then come back, it'll show you if something doesn't appear. It looks like it just hasn't worked, so let me try that again. Pick that one, right click, go add component cross frame. Select a reference girder. So if we pick the one on the other side and go enter. Looks like it's doing something this time. There we go. Oh, I picked the wrong girder. All right. I think I've picked the one, a girder it wasn't expecting to, so we can do it between these two girders as well. So let's see if we can do that. Pick that one. Add component, cross frame. Now these cross frames are modifiable in the export to Excel as well, so I'm going to export that out too. Cross frame. There. So there. No. So two. Oh, okay, that's not actually what it's asking me at all. It's asking me which spans I want to do it on. So not those ones, but I'll put it in this one. Oops, not that one. Put it onto those girders. Sorry. Keep missing the dang thing. You can pick them after the fact, but can we actually export and expand them across? Apply to all cross frames in the group. Now that's probably going to be, I'll try. Sorry. As I say, this is going to take a little bit of getting used to. I might actually just delete those out and try it again. So I'm going to pick that one. Hit the delete key. Let's just see if we can get this whole group to go again. Oh, I know what I would have done. I must have deselected that girder when I clicked on it. That's what would have happened. All right, let's try it again. Pick that one. Let's pick all of those girders. And right click and go add component, cross frame. Now, has it got all of those? It looks like it has. Keep clicking outside of it. One more try and then we'll continue on. I pick that. So right click on there and go add component, cross frame. It's got all of those selected. So we go enter. Enter. Looks like it's doing it. No, it's not. I keep picking the top of it, which just gets in the way. That one there. Cross frame between there. Maybe they need to be blue. Yeah, they probably need to be blue to be selected. I think I was seeing pink. Let's try that. Okay, and this is one of those times when, oh, there she goes. All right, finally. Yeah, I was selecting them as pink as being selected. Blue means the beam has been selected, not pink. There we go. All right, so they can be done and put in there and simply change them to what you want them to be. But as I was saying, the export to Excel is actually pretty good rather than having to work through all these stacks every time you want to change something. So you right click on your bridge and go send to spreadsheet. These, the first time you do it, you'll only get the option to create new. I'm going to put it on the desktop for now. Bridge 2x Excel. Yep, I'll place it. So it looks like nothing much has come through to begin with, but it's actually all the components are down in these tabs in the bottom. There's the decks, the piers, the foundations, abutments, girder groups, so on and so forth. What else we got? Bearings, cross frames in there. So all those parameters can all be changed. Obviously in Excel, you can just drag the columns across to update them all at once. Then once you've done that, we can read that back in by right-clicking on your bridge again. And now we can go and update from the one you expanded, well, sorry, you exported, I should say. And that will make any of the changes. That's what they were showing you in that little video.